Hello, everybody, and welcome to session 13 vlog, right? 13?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Man, what a doozy was today, right?
Well,
It wasn't as action packed, but I hope it was still interesting.
yeah.
Very interesting.
Ralph got new clone.
Ralph
all
got new
that.
cologne.
That was
That
amazing.
cologne is a
Like,
cool. I'm
that
going to
was
use
a
that.
totally crazy reveal.
Yeah. That's one of those like magic items that is not overpowered, but I can see a lot of like creative uses for it. And
Oh,
a lot of like entertaining and humorous like uses for it too.
Oh yeah, because it's nothing that like enchants the mind. Games is like, no, it just smells nice. Just smells nice to people.
Mm-hmm.
Because I always picture Gabe just has a bunch of like technology or stuff that he just made and just kept in his house somewhere.
Yeah, I smell cherry blossoms.
Yeah.
And there's like I'm just thinking, what would your smell be like? That'll probably be the next warm-up question.
That's
Like,
exactly what I was about to say.
what next warm-up is what if you were to smell Raphael's cologne, what would it smell like? I definitely think that would be really cool.
Oh, like us personally?
I think you in real life.
Oh,
I think we should do we'll do you in real life and then your characters.
Yeah.
I think that would be interesting, like warm-up
So
question.
I kind of already answered it for Kate, and that actually was a more accurate answer to the question at the beginning of this session where you asked me. So the smell he smelled was a more accurate representation than actually being asked the question.
Interesting. I like that. That's cool.
Hmm.
So what do we start with? There's a lot. Other than the cologne, there's a lot. Yes.
What do we start with? Anybody want to throw anything out? Like,
Phoebe's is a ooze.
It's a gelatinous ooze, a shape-shifting ooze. Yes.
Yeah.
okay.
Makes you wonder if Phoebe is the only version of Meba that you've met. Or was there others?
Yeah.
I also wonder if it's like an invasion of the body snatchers sort of situation, you know? Like, they go to Vita and get replaced by aliens, but...
At least according to the slime, which could be lying.
Could be lying.
Phoebe is originally created, so original OC do not steal Mebas. So at least how it looks right now is that Meba, because I was reading up on the lore on like where you looked it up, and it was like apparently they're creatures that want to be sociable, but they're also slimes and oozes.
Yeah.
So, which makes a lot of sense why someone would want to run Vita. And it makes it easy for a ooze to hide if everyone else can't see it.
And it makes sense because if Phoebe seems associated with the outcasts, and the outcasts are mostly like outcasted races, Eladrin are not.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, that's kind of weird mix.
Sort of
and Eladrin with bugbears and goblins, and it's like, yeah, that kind of makes sense now a little bit.
So also another reason why Maze and the lower guys don't actually know what the person that they're talking to, because Phoebe can literally shapeshift and tell them.
Yep.
And maybe Prey knows, but like the other guys.
Maybe Prey knows. Yeah, that's
well,
right.
I mean, like I said, it's a whole bunch of stuff. Maybe that's why they chose Mist, because it's like, oh, it's the person that runs the temple, therefore it's easy to. And I'm thinking about how Gabe's gonna confront that, because that's the ace he has now.
Yeah.
I was already wanting to have a confrontation with both of those people, like out of combat for Prey. And I mean, now I also definitely want to have a conversation with Phoebe. But I'm not so sure if Phoebe. I mean, obviously, I'm not sure if she's been honest with us the entire time.
Oh, totally not. Totally not.
Obviously, right?
But how much of that is truly her maliciously lying, and how much of it is because she's being manipulated and mind controlled,
and that's also the thing, though. Like, who is lied to us without lying to us?
Because a lot who's lied to without lying?
Yeah, a lot of us have had instances where we definitely should have picked up on something, but then didn't. Yeah.
It's the only way that a GM can balance somebody who is such a good susser of truth is making it so that the characters don't know that they're that they're lying necessarily.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
shining beacon of that is the elephant guy's character's name, Mist.
Saz.
Saz.
Oh, yeah, Mist.
Saz
Yeah.
and Mist. Because we got like 23s and 25s on insight,
Yeah.
and it's like none of this is matching up with our insight check.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've always just pictured whoever's brainwashing knows someone's gonna come looking for Saz because this is a day job for him, not supposed to stay there.
Yeah.
So, like, they can't just keep Saz there because
No, they can't. Yeah.
because someone will look. While someone like Phoebe, who if they're a ooze means they don't have a family, because that's actually another thing I was thinking about last session. I was like, who can go for like 3 months and not get a call in? Because even Gabe, as bad as he was working, someone could still call him and see him.
Yeah.
So it makes a lot of sense because if they don't have like an actual family,
Right.
or like they have a family, but maybe it's the first, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Then that's easy prey. The keeping the
Yeah.
that would probably
Yeah.
Or people who are already estranged from society in some way,
yeah.
like a certain gang organization.
Yeah. And the Steels are now half the Steels are stuck in there, and I think we've established that Stalin is compulsed to some way to look the other way, which is tough.
Yeah.
And Jennifer is trying to navigate through that right now. So
I think it's cool we're putting together the squad for the infiltration.
Yeah.
We got V.
We're assembling the team.
I'm just skeptical that you can get another administration pass. That's why I'm skeptical.
I'm probably not gonna get an administration. I think the only way I'm gonna get an administration pass if I'm really like, it's either for two things. Either it's let's talk. I have Forrest. You want to have the talk with them, right? We talk with them, right? Have us both go in, or also, I know your secret. Here's picture one. Here it is. Let me talk to you. Now that one could also end up with prey sneaking up behind me and probably stab me behind my back. But
all right, tangent time. Forrest is a clone.
Forrest is a clone of Nathaniel Bosk. He actually, I specifically said throughout the sessions, I specifically had Nathaniel Bosk say, "You remind me so much of myself." That was like a lot of hints. I was digging those hints in.
So Cade learning that, he was just like, doesn't matter to me. Doesn't change anything.
Yeah.
But for Sage, thinking about it, it's like, okay, so you have the nature is the same between the two, but they've had two separate nurtures.
Correct.
And so what similarities, and this is kind of more of a question to Ethan, but what similarities do you think you're going to role play, like pull from him because you are him? Like, do you fear death?
No.
Yeah.
I do not fear death.
So that must mean it's part of his nurture.
His nurture.
Not in the sense of like, oh God, I'm going to die one day, but more along the lines of like, I don't want to die early. Like, I want to live my life. That, I guess that is what I mean.
Yeah.
I know I don't fear death.
Yeah.
I did not talk with Hark about any of this beforehand. This was I believe this was your secret.
No.
No?
Yeah. You and I didn't talk about this. You told me come up with the reason, their explanation of your origins. And so
I give a ton of like explanations. None of them was clones, so I'll give you the creativity points for that.
Your origin story, I talked very thoroughly with Shay. I was using Shay as like a rubber ducky and bounced up ideas, and I just told him things like, these are the themes. He's got some identity issues. He doesn't really know like who he is. He's kind of feeling out who he is. He, transitioned from female to male, and then we were like, oh, wait a minute, questioning his origins, his parents that want nothing to do with him. And so then we were like, okay, this is starting to make a lot of sense now. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, originally all of it was being taken in stride of like, okay, my parents don't love me. Whatever. They weren't my parents to begin with.
They weren't your parents to begin with.
Then that was actually true. And it was like, oh, they really literally weren't my parents
Right.
to begin with.
Just to give it a little bit more context, like he created this, he told your parents, you're not parents, about this, and the parents were like, we don't want kids, like you this is your responsibility, like, and so he took it upon himself to adopt a second child because he had another child before Forrest, which he never talked about prior to this, probably because maybe something happened and he was ashamed to talk about his kid and what he turned up becoming in later in life. And then so there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, a lot to unpack. It kind of overwhelmed me today, just all the things I figured out as a player and as a character. I definitely need some time to digest, I think. But what was I gonna say? Wow, that happens way too often. Somebody else take.
Before the reveal, I think it was Cade who said something along the lines of, oh, it was when you're in his mind palace. And he was like, said something along the lines of, this is you, not your grandfather. You're not your grandfather, or something along the lines of, you're not your grandfather. And at that moment, I was like, actually, that's not completely true. So if you watch a recording again, like my face, I was trying really hard to just remain stoic, but I definitely was like,
I noticed the face, but I misinterpreted it.
That was what was going through my head. It's like, you're so close, Cade. You're so close. See, Cade is always almost right all the time. Cade normally says things that's right that he doesn't even realize.
I guess, did any of you see like the reveals today coming then?
Yeah, there were a lot.
I mean, obviously you accidentally caught on, or well, not accidentally caught on, you accidentally referenced it.
I think one time I joked, I was like, oh, we're all clones or something to like someone either before the campaign started. So I didn't guess it, but I sort of, for at least one person.
There was I didn't see anything coming. I don't think I ever do.
Did you see the connection with the connection between Seymour and your family, Gabe?
The moment he said, yeah, you know, he could only see it with like people under a certain age, and I was like, I know where this is going.
Yeah.
So technically my mom killed his dad.
Yeah, your mom killed his dad because his dad claimed that he could sense kids while they were still kids who would become dangerous people later in life.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, I know that this kid is only 2 years old, but he's going to grow up to be Adolf Hitler. That's basically like the thing. And so it's actually meant to be a play. It's sort of like the opposite side of the coin of Cade. Because Cade's whole thing is you're not contributing to society because you're old, versus this serial killer is, I sense, because I can see into the future, you're not going to contribute anything positive to society, but you're young. So I'm going to kill you while you're young before you have a chance to be old and cause X, Y, and Z to happen.
I like the gray, because who knows, maybe that's the biggest hero of this story who eliminated the most suffering. He killed Adolf Hitler, you know.
But then again, what if he killed someone like Cade before Cade could maybe?
The irony is we both want to kill each other.
The irony is you both want to kill him. He is.
You both pull up knives. You're like, oh, come on, man.
There was another reveal that I decided to wait a little bit, and we'll see if that comes up. But there's more. There is one more to his father's story that we'll see if it comes up later. So,
Art, props to you for just the amount of layers of reveals you've established through this campaign.
You're welcome.
Gabe, can see dead people now?
They were, so just as an FYI, a lot of the timing of these reveals is very purposeful with respect to the fact that the crossover session is about to happen. So, for example, I had to tell them about the fact that Forrest is a clone ahead of time, because we were trying to figure out. I'm sorry.
It makes so much sense now why he was saying that to me. Like, everybody just made sense that it fit together. Like, once we thought about it for a second, everybody made sense. Why does Yellow and Forest have something to do with like a monster that was created
We thought it was psychic
right.
power.
Frankie is, if you don't know Sage, Frankie's, which is Alex's character, he basically is a Frankenstein monster. He was an artificially created being, and he ends up like questioning his existence and his purpose in life, and like he has identity issues. And then I was like, oh, okay, well, let me tell you about Forest and Yellow. He's a clone. He has identity issues. And so I'm like, yeah, let's pair those two up and they'll probably have a conversation at some point. So very cool. So I was like, I need to make sure I reveal this before the crossover happens so that they have that opportunity.
So I've lined up watching Black Powder's like audition and whatnot, but I'm not gonna be able to watch the whole campaign. Would you be willing to send me like important character notes on Black Powder?
The important character notes about Black Powder is he is the oldest person in the group, number one. But the thing about their campaign is that they change forms every time they go from one world to another. It's sort of like Kingdom Hearts, if you ever played Kingdom Hearts. And there's this one, when he goes over to Frankie's world, he actually turns into everybody in Frankie's world is pretty much young and beautiful, and like it goes with that whole Hunger Games like teen like post-apocalyptic like dystopian future kind of idea. So he actually turns into like this younger guy. And so what we thought would be really cool is that the thing is, at the end of the campaign, Black Powder does not return back to his world. He actually stays in like Frankie's world. So he's a young man. So you're going to meet him as a young person, and you will know him as a young person for a while. But then it'll probably get later revealed, oh, actually, he was an old dude this whole time. The other thing I'm going to say is Black Powder is the villain. He is a villain of his book versus the other characters who are more of like the main protagonist. So that I thought was really, really cool, because one thing that he had to sort of go through, his arc is all about his identity, and like he does a lot of really awful, terrible things, including killing people. But the difference between you and him is that he did it purely for his own personal survival, because he just lived a life just, I guess, similar to yours. He had a rough childhood, and he did what he needed to do in order to survive, and that's how he justified it. Which is slightly different from you, because you have this idea that this is just the way that the world should be, and everybody disagrees with me, and they have this notion of what's right and wrong, and I have my own notion of right and wrong. And I explained this all to Thistle. So I'm presuming if you do have a chance to chat about this, you can like discuss these beats with each other. So that's basically why I mentioned it to you, because I think it would really be helpful for you to have a conversation with Thistle at some point, and they can give you more context to prepare like for the scenes, which is what happens a lot in Athenium. A lot of times out of character, the players will talk to each other, like, hey, I want to set up this scene because I want this topic to be breached, and I think it would really create a very interesting like conversation or scene, and they'll discuss it ahead of time. They won't be like, okay, you say this and then you say this. They just are trying to talk about the catalyst that leads up to it, and once the catalyst happens, then boom, you jump into the scene and play it out. Gotcha. So that's just something that they did all the time, which I thought was really cool. I'm not saying you all have to do that, but that's a lot of the best scenes we got from the campaign was because of that prep. And I think that's what Thistle's trying to do with you. Understood. Okay. I was kind of like, I didn't know how to follow up with that question, but I think that gives me enough that I can. Cool.
Is that why Gabe and Tori are meeting? Because Gabe can now see dead people.
You said it, I didn't.
Also, technically, Gabe could talk to objects. Gabe could talk to our dolls.
Tori,
that's right.
That's true. Tori, you can talk to her dolls, and Tori, she and her sister are basically Ghostbusters now, and you see dead people. You see dead people. And then
basically do their job for them, though.
Yeah. And then we have
happened?
Rook and I'm not Rook. We have Ave and
Dave
Sam.
with
Like
Rook's situation.
he needs to find. There is mystery behind Rook and where he is, and like how is he going to be able to solve this mystery? I don't know. Maybe he needs a detective. I don't know. So yeah, a
Oh,
lot of things we're setting up to help
Oh.
propel your. It's all about propelling your stories forward, and that's what I love about the crossovers. So,
oh yeah. I'm just very curious about why Gabe is now seeing dead people and dead things.
I think you hit it. It's because nobody that was close to you has died yet, fortunately. So if they had some connection to you, you would probably be visited by them. But for this one, Forrest is tangentially like connected to you. He has somebody that was close to him, unhealthily so. I mean, he basically everyone sees you as their daddy right now. Their dad right now.
Dad sent my
So-
grandfather to the afterlife.
I figured I can't just say that you're related to an angel of death and not do something with
I
it.
know.
So I was like, throw not only Nathaniel Boss, but also the dead plant. The dead plant.
I just like the idea that Gabe just has just really weird person. It's like, oh, why don't you make a lot of friends? You know, like, this guy's kind of this guy's kind of weird.
What? How many characters in your campaigns can see dead people now? It's at least 3, right?
In my campaign? What? In this
Yeah,
campaign?
It's like
Oh, no,
all your
in your
campaigns.
campaign.
I
Of
know there's
all
at
my
least 3.
campaign? I don't remember. It's been
How many
I don't
people can see dead people? It's just
Well, we're
And
gonna form a small group for the end game, guys.
yeah.
We're gonna be the Ghostbusters.
You'll have all the grave keepers or whatever.
Yeah.
The Ghostbusters squad.
Oh,
Oh, that'd be fun.
Anything else?
nah, I think that's it.
Say. I thought there was another reveal. I mean, obviously we saw that there were a lot of interesting things in the locked box. And I was trying to keep it vague enough that there was still hooks for you to to lead you to other things. Because I did want to reveal stuff, but I didn't want to reveal everything on a silver platter and just give you a little bit of an enticement to dig a little bit deeper, especially if it involved Dr. Kemper and involved Michael Stoll and other people. So that'll be interesting to.
Yeah, I mean, technically, we found out more about Raph and his relationship with.
Oh
Penny.
yeah, yes, and there's definitely something there that I am trying to get to, but it's yeah, there definitely is something there that I'm trying to get to, but it's just the timing isn't right yet. I'm just without giving too much away. I'm waiting for you to infiltrate the Vita Loca complex, and then do whatever it is you need to do there in order to unlock like that plot point, I guess.
Yeah, because I think at this point, Gabe's like, I understand where my son's coming from, but I don't want this to become his reality, especially knowing the other side. He's like, oh, this is not going to affect reality. And he's like, this might, because I know who's on the other end.
Whether you are on Gabe's side or Raphael's side, I'd like to believe that Raphael makes some compelling arguments.
Yeah.
Like at least some of the things he's saying makes logical sense.
Yeah, would totally be on Raph's side, 100%.
Yeah, which is why Gabe's like, look, at a certain point, I would understand if this was like what you ultimately end up on later in life. I'm fine with it, but he's like, you're young right now, and I don't want this to.
Yeah.
And he's also like, it's not going to affect real life, and he's like I said before,
I think
it might, because
I think the big question though is what's going on in Stella Steele's head. Like, what is her side of all of this? Like, what is she getting out of this, and what is the motive behind doing what she's doing? Is this really just purely, oh, this is all in the game and it's all pretend, or is it more than that?
Yeah, that's the thing Gabe's worried about. If he was like, he's like, I don't want this going to your real life, which is why he's like, hey, I'll help you get an actual.
Yeah. And I mean, Jennifer and Jacob probably have no idea any of this is happening. So that's also going to be something that you might have to deal with as well, is the kids, Jennifer and Jacob's, how they're caught in between whatever's going on with this whole Raphael, Loki, Stella, Penny thing, and Stalin. So yeah.
Gabe just wants to protect his son. That's
Yeah.
that's the main his goal.
It's a ticking time bomb that I'm waiting for it to explode, and I'm
Gabe's
just
like, I'm just gonna keep pushing
Yeah.
back the clock. Just keep pushing back the
There's
clock.
also a weird thing going on with Jennifer and
Cade.
Cade too.
Oh,
She got
Yeah.
jealous too.
She got jealous.
older
yeah.
later, older lady. Parallels.
Yeah.
Jennifer is how old?
No, Jennifer is not. Jennifer is around your age, around
Yeah.
Cade's
What is
age.
she?
Yeah.
It's Dr. Janice. Dr. Janice is older.
But yeah,
She's-
that's what I meant.
Oh, I thought you said Jennifer. You said
Janice.
Jennifer got jealous
Janice is
because
older.
she wasn't sure if the thing with Dr. Janice is because she's a halfling. I think she's a halfling, not a gnome. Yes, because Necromagus is a gnome. The thing about Dr. Janice is a halfling. It's hard to tell what her age is. She probably looks younger than she actually is.
Yeah.
And so I presume that Jennifer's like, there might be something going on there romantically between the two. Got to jump on that.
Cade with Jennifer right now, it's like he doesn't know how to approach a relationship at all, but he is like curious.
Yeah.
It's something he wants to know.
One thing I will also hope I established is that even though Cade is not very feel comfortable about like touching people in that kind of way, I was trying to imply that it compliments her too, because she doesn't like being touched unless she has a rapport with someone. And I think that for her, she values a more like emotional connection versus a physical connection with someone. She values that more.
Yeah.
So I think that's really interesting with the two of them. Viridian on the other hand,
proceed forward in a safe space. It's like they can take it very slow, and I think that's why Cade is even pursuing it at all, despite it being super slow.
Right. And then when you got V, who I think is not shy about those kind of things, but I think she also respects boundaries too. That between Viridian and Cade, the way I interpret it is that I think maybe Cade needs somebody that's a little bit more aggressive, like Viridian, to sort of like encourage him into something that might be more than just friends. So we've got this
like, the scent thing, the cologne, right? Whose smell would Jennifer's or V's come up first? I think V's would come up first. Out of the two.
Yeah.
But I think Jennifer is safer for him. So it's like he's playing with that.
Yeah. I think it's a really interesting love triangle. And I honestly, if you were to ask me who I'm rooting for more, I couldn't choose because I like both of them. And then people, I can hear people screaming. They're like, polyamorous. I'm like, I mean, if that's what you want to go down,
Hey, V's showing some interest in Raph. So
oh my gosh. Oh my god.
What is it with this kid and older ladies?
Hey, it's better than what he currently has.
I don't know if right now it's anything beyond like the physical, and not even like visually physical, but like scent physical.
Which I actually didn't think about that with him, really, because she's probably has higher senses than
as a cat,
stronger.
Yeah. So I don't know. Viridian is the kind of person, if she wants something, she's gonna get it. She's gonna get it, Gabe. So you're gonna have to.
Oh man, he's gonna have that talk with both Cade and his own son.
It's like, take the serial killer instead. Not my son. Take Cade instead.
No, don't take my son. You can take him.
You can take him.
That is something. I've actually wondered if I should get on the bandwagon of shipping, as in shipping my Forest with somebody.
Maybe.
And I was thinking maybe Raph, but now with everybody
that's
on,
interesting.
I think that could work. I think go with you how you feel it, because I also know how Hark does this thing for the problem. Basically, for Mirror Hark, if someone seems interested in something, usually you kind of play into that a little bit more.
If I sense, because romance is totally optional, but virtually all my players have some interest in it. So I'm like saying, virtually almost every single character can be made available if it seems like the player's interested in it.
Yeah.
So if you want it, I can try to move towards it. If you want
if I were to ship someone with Forest, V. I should be with Forrest.
Really?
All that tension,
What is your
all
reasoning
that
behind
tension.
all that angst. Oh, come on, please.
All that angst.
Oh,
There you go. Yeah. But it's interesting when you brought up Raph, because I said I can see that. It's very early, but I do remember that heart-to-heart talk you had with Raph earlier, and I'm like, that there could be something if that's something that Ethan wants to pursue. Ethan, and I say Ethan because sometimes the characters don't realize that it's something that they want to pursue until they're in the knee deep into it. So there is some part of the player like nudging in that direction a little bit.
God's hand goes. Just.
The way I play all of my characters is generally I do not focus on romance or love or anything unless the character is specifically built around it. Like
Sure.
I had a Tabaxi charisma rogue who was a ladies' man, and that was his character.
Yeah,
that was it. But
I feel like stylistically, I'm a discovery type player. Just I have no idea until it's the moment. Like an example today is finding that picture of Dennis. I wouldn't have told you how I reacted, but in that moment, it was like revealed to me that it's like that still makes Cade happy. He still is proud of that moment.
Can I ask you like what Cade was feeling in that moment when he saw the photo?
I think when he looked at the photo, he smiled, and it was like one of those smiles you don't mean to have; it just happens.
Yeah,
it's like, a distant memory sort of smile, like a like that.
Yeah, I think he'd almost be trying to stop it from happening, but yeah, it breaks anyways. It's kind of like a psychotic joy towards it. And I didn't know that. I had no idea that would happen until it happened.
And why did he smile? I'm just making sure I understand.
I think the memory still brings him a lot of joy. I think
of him being killed, you mean?
Yeah. The
got
moment
it.
Dennis, that laughter that broke out during that time, he still feels it. Like it still just makes him happy that happened.
Right.
And he took the picture to be a memory, a memorabilia that he can look back and be happy at.
Does he have any feelings on the fact that Forrest's grandfather raised Dennis at some point?
Confusion. Mostly confusion at this point. And I think he took the picture of Dr. Kemper because he wants to look at Dr. Kemper's picture and feel the same way he feels about Dennis.
Okay.
My other question for you is, so you witnessed Forrest like right after his grandfather passed away. Did Cade see Nathaniel Bosk as a waste of space, a waste of the air that he breathed?
I think his way of communicating it was like, if Forrest cries like that for him, he must have been okay.
He must have been okay. Okay, interesting.
He doesn't feel anything in particular, but he cares about Forrest, and Forrest cares.
Gotcha. So just so I understand, it isn't that he necessarily thinks, everyone, once they reach a certain age, everyone is all of a sudden a waste of space. Some of them may have to prove themselves.
Yeah, I think he lacks quite a bit of logic behind it. Like if he learned that Dr. Janice was older, I don't think he'd care.
Right.
Like I love her, I don't care.
Right.
But I think honestly he just uses the age thing and those logic chains as an excuse. I don't think there's any logic behind it.
Got it. Interesting.
He tries to make it logical, but it's just not.
Happened that it was old.
It just so happened that it was older people.
Yeah. And he gets triggered by older people because of his trauma. And so his triggers are really what's causing these murders, not them and their choices and all that stuff. That's all his excuse.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
That is something though. I always wondered what would happen because I actually expected you to have a snap some point. I think you did, but we calmed you down from it.
Yeah.
But if you snapped and killed somebody, what I would have done was forced you to attend the funeral. I would have called in my favor and said, attend to the funeral.
Interesting.
And you will stand in the front and you will watch everybody.
That
Interesting.
might still happen. Who knows?
That you might
That might
still
still happen.
you might still do it. Yeah.